18-year-old Jesus Ayala and 16-year-old Jzamir Keys were seen giggling, conversing, and flipping off the Probst family after hitting a 72-year-old cyclist on Fort Apache and Washburn. Just half an hour later on Tenaya Way and Azure, police say this video recorded by Keys, the passenger, went viral after being posted on social media. It shows the teens hitting a Toyota Corolla in traffic before heading northbound on Tenaya. Just moments later, the video appears to show the teens targeting and then running over retired police chief Andreas Probst, who was cycling in a bike lane.
They walked into the courtroom laughing, even though they were old enough to know right from wrong. They sat just a few feet from the family of the man they murdered and smirked. One of them even flipped off the victim's daughter right there in front of the judge, as if a human life meant nothing. These weren't hardened criminals. They were kids who recorded a killing for entertainment and laughed at the victim's pain. They treated a father's death like a joke. But Judge Jacqueline Bluth wasn't about to let disrespect be the final word. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel. We truly appreciate your support. Subscribe to see how this case unfolds. A retired police chief from Bell, California. He'd spent decades serving his community, doing the kind of work most people wouldn't have the guts to do. When he finally retired, he moved to the Las Vegas area to enjoy the life he'd worked so hard for. No more patrol shifts, no more emergency calls in the middle of the night, just peace. He loved the simple things, a good cup of coffee in the morning, getting outside, breathing fresh air, and cycling. That was his thing. He'd wake up early, get on his bike, and ride through the quiet streets of Centennial Hills before the heat kicked in. It kept him healthy. It cleared his head. It was his routine. On the morning of August 14th, 2023, that's exactly what he was doing, just riding his bike. No different than any other morning, he had no idea two strangers were about to take everything from him. Andreas Probst deserved to finish that ride and come home.
The wife and daughter of victim Andy Probst say they believe the teen's behavior here in court today shows they have zero respect and zero remorse.
They're just kind of trying to mad dog us and intimidate us, which didn't work.
Jesus Ayala and Jzamir Keys smiling at the widow and daughter of Andy Probst as they leave the courtroom Tuesday. The teens are accused of intentionally hitting the 64-year-old retired California police chief. They're charged with murder and additional felonies in connection with an August 14th crime spree. Police say they also hit this 72-year-old cyclist that morning.
Jesus Ayala, 18, was behind the wheel. Jzamir Keys, 16, was riding shotgun with his phone out, recording everything. This wasn't their first stolen car that day. It wasn't even their first victim. They'd already hit a 72-year-old man on his bike near Fort Apache and Washburn. He survived and called 911, but Ayala and Keys didn't care. They kept going, laughing, filming, looking for the next target. This wasn't joyriding, this was hunting. Then they spotted Andreas Probst cycling in a bike lane on Tenaya Jzamir. Keys kept his phone steady, recording from the passenger seat. Ayala accelerated. The audio is crystal clear. You can hear him say it. Yeah, hit his ass. The car slammed into Probst from behind. He didn't have a chance. The impact sent his body to the ground, and his Apple Watch immediately triggered an emergency alert. Owner has taken a hard fall and is not responding. By the time help arrived, Andreas was gone. Ayala and Keys sped off, still laughing. They dumped the Hyundai, blood on the interior, front end destroyed, evidence everywhere, and stole another car. They kept terrorizing the streets for hours, hitting more vehicles, stealing, recording it all like they were making content for social media. Police caught up with them later that day. Both were arrested. When investigators searched the suspects' phones, they found something that would make this case impossible to deny. Dozens of videos, every single part of the crime spree, all recorded by the people committing it. There were clips of them stealing cars, clips of them driving recklessly through intersections, clips of them laughing as they hit pedestrians, and the most damning piece of all, the video keys filmed from inside the car as they targeted Andreas Probst. You can hear Ayala's voice clearly on the recording, encouraging the attack, laughing like it was a game. Keys posted some of the footage to social media. It went viral, not because people thought it was cool, because people were horrified. The video spread fast and tips started pouring into the Las Vegas Police Department almost immediately. Detectives didn't have to build a case from scratch. These two had done the work for them. Cell phone videos with audio, body cam footage from the arrests, autopsy results confirming blunt force trauma, witness testimony from cyclists and drivers who saw the attacks, forensic evidence from the stolen car, blood, damage, fingerprints, everything. The case was airtight before Ayala and Keys even walked into a courtroom. They'd literally recorded their own conviction. They thought they were untouchable. They thought filming it made them bold. All it did was hand prosecutors everything they needed on a silver platter. The victim's family had to sit there and watch their father's killers laugh. If that bothers you, leave a comment. Let the algorithm know stories like this need to be told. Your engagement decides whether justice stories reach people or get buried. When Ayala and Keys appeared in Judge Jacqueline Bluth's courtroom, the Probst family was there waiting. Andreas's wife sat in the gallery wearing his Apple Watch, the same one he had on the day he was killed. The screen was still cracked from the impact. She wore it as a reminder of what these two had taken from her. The family came hoping to see some sign of remorse, maybe an apology, maybe acknowledgement that they destroyed a life. What they got was the exact opposite. Ayala and Keys smirked. They laughed. They whispered to each other like they were at a school assembly, not a murder hearing. At one point, Ayala turned toward the family and flipped off Andreas's daughter, right there in open court.
These guys, they did not respect the court whatsoever.
No hesitation. No shame, just pure arrogance. This wasn't new behavior for them. Right after his arrest, Ayala sat in the back of a police car acting like the whole thing was no big deal. The officer's body cam caught the entire exchange. Ayala asked, "Is it really that serious?" The officer told him, "Yeah, it is." Ayala laughed it off. "I'll be out in like 30 days. The officer didn't sugarcoat it. "You might be out of juvie in 30 days and moved over to an adult jail because that's how bad it is." Ayala shrugged. "It's just a hit and run." The community wasn't buying it. Media coverage exploded. People wanted answers. The defense tried every angle they could, arguing for juvenile leniency, claiming Ayala had a history of brain damage, pushing for competency evaluations. But prosecutors came back with the videos. The footage didn't show confusion or impaired judgment. It showed intent. It showed laughter. It showed celebration. Judge Bluth made one thing clear. Her courtroom would not tolerate disrespect. The question now wasn't whether they were guilty. The question was whether their age would save them from real consequences.
I'm not scared.
You are. 100%.
You think this juvenile gonna do something? I'll be out in like 30 days. What?
Both defendants entered guilty pleas to second-degree murder, robbery, and battery. There would be no jury trial. The evidence was too strong to fight. The videos alone were enough to bury them. Sentencing day came, and Judge Bluth didn't hold back. Her message was clear. Age does not excuse murder. These weren't kids who made a mistake. They were killers who filmed it for fun and laughed about it afterward. The sentence came down hard. 18 to 20 years to life in prison. No chance of parole for at least 20 years. And even after that, parole isn't guaranteed. They could spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Before the judge finalized everything, victim impact statements were read. Taylor Probst, Andreas's daughter, stood up and confronted them directly. She asked how they could sit there with so much entitlement after taking her father's life, how they could laugh while her family fell apart. This time, the smirks were gone. The arrogance that defined every other court appearance finally cracked. Reality hit them. Clark County Detention Center became their new home. Lieutenant Jason Johansson, the lead investigator, said the case showed a generation losing empathy. The district attorney's office confirmed that justice had been served to the fullest extent possible. For the Probst family, the criminal case was only part of the fight. In 2025, they filed a civil lawsuit targeting both defendants and Hyundai, the manufacturer of the stolen car used in the attack. They wanted accountability from every angle, not just the people who committed the crime, but the systems that allowed it to happen. But they didn't stop there. The family became vocal advocates for juvenile justice reform in Nevada. They pushed for changes to the law so that violent crimes, especially murder, couldn't be excused or minimized just because the person holding the wheel happened to be under 18 age shouldn't be a shield when someone takes a life deliberately. The community rallied behind them. Judge Bluth's handling of the case set a precedent that courtroom behavior carries real consequences. Disrespect won't be tolerated. Andreas Probst's memory didn't end with his death. His family made sure of that. He's remembered not just as a victim, but as the reason people started demanding change. His life mattered. His death meant something. And the fight for justice continues because of him. This case is a reminder that actions always carry consequences, no matter how untouchable someone might feel. Filming crimes for social media clout doesn't make anyone bold. It exposes recklessness and hands prosecutors the evidence needed to secure a conviction. Age offers no shield in a murder case. The law doesn't soften simply because the offender is 16 or 18, especially when the intent is clear. Ayala and Keys weren't confused teenagers. They were offenders who chose cruelty over empathy. And that's where the line is drawn. Empathy isn't optional. It's what separates decent human behavior from monstrous decisions. These two abandoned it completely, believing arrogance would protect them. It didn't. The justice system remained firm, and now they're facing decades behind bars. For anyone who believes laughter or bravado can erase the weight of taking a life, this case stands as proof that accountability always arrives, sooner or later. If this story showed you that justice can still win, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video. Let people know that accountability matters. And if you want to see more cases where arrogance got crushed by the system, click that video on your screen right now. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Andreas Probst deserved better than what happened to him, but his family made sure his death wasn't in vain. They fought for justice, and they got it.